nothing's gonna be good after that. You know, like outside of the one time doing it. You know.
That's all good. That's a good long view, man.
Yeah.
I'm in a sitcom. You guys are all just kind of walking in and out. So, you know.
A lot of woo.
I think I'm so not in it that whenever things are happening, I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. It's things.
What else?
We're in a place. It doesn't matter.
Anything could happen.
And then later on, I'm just like, holy shit, what the fuck was I thinking? Why the fuck did I think it was a good idea to do any of those things? It's like, who do you think you are? And just like, I don't know.
I'm Rob Gagnon.
It makes me wonder how,
I think that.
if I ever had kids, like, you know they're going to get up to some shit at some point. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Because we did. And we're not even the worst of our friends.
Right?
How could it be? Let's name them.
It was so weird that like Rob pointed just to the left, which is where I'm standing. Like we're not even better friends.
My thumb just does that.
It just drifts towards who I'm speaking about.
There's also another kind of not remembering things where people are remembering a thing that you're the center of without alcohol involved, and you don't recall it at all.
Oh,
like,
God,
don't
it's always weird.
You kept doing that voice, and it was great. I feel it was some kind of something. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Like, and that mattered.
You did it for a half hour. Like, no. I probably had. I
was in a zone.
Comedy drunk.
Comedy drunk. It's
performance drunk for sure.
Yeah. It's somewhat related. I kind of hate it whenever somebody like tells you like, oh yeah, you love doing that thing. Like,
I hate when people tell me what I am.
Yeah.
You don't know what I am.
You don't know what's in this.
I immediately hate whatever it is that I may have liked. But you've said I like it. Well, I don't like it now.
Where do I start listing the things that I hate about this conversation? You're putting me in a box and you're telling me something that's completely inaccurate. I did it one time. One time is all the time to you? What is your perception of time like?
My mom and my brother, I remember for years, once when I was like 9 or 10 years old, I said I didn't like Indian food because I like to be able to see my food. I didn't like things covered in like sauce and stuff. I thought people were like hiding like bugs and stuff in my food. So I was like, I like to see my food. And forever, up until I was like in my early 20s, if ever someone would suggest Indian food, my mom or brother would be like, oh no, Ariel doesn't like Indian food. I was like, I love Indian food. I remember just getting so angry. She was like, you don't even know me anymore. It was...
You just stopped learning at the shittiest part of my existence.
It's like 10 years old is what she is.
She can make her own choices.
That's when she's an adult.
You know, you get that in a pleasant way as well because, like, for instance, I have lived far away from my mother, for instance, for more years than I lived with her now. And so the idea of what she knows about me is only in bits and starts, like what I tell her and then what she sees on the internet. And she makes assumptions about certain things. And then she'll, like for Christmas, she'll get me, like, all the gifts that are similar to this one thing that I said this one time. Or whatever. Like when I got my tattoo, for instance, we were talking about my tattoo earlier. I have a tattoo on my chest. It is the Chinese symbol for love. My mom got me hundreds of things with Chinese symbol on them to support me in my getting a tattoo when I got a tattoo. She wanted me to know she was okay with it. So she got me lots of Chinese things, all sorts of, I have tons of things with Chinese things, but that was her like only way to connect, you know what I mean? And sometimes I wonder if to a certain extent people feel that way about us, about y'all. You know, the idea is we are doing stuff often that other people think is like amazing and wild, and I could never do that, right? So you exist slightly on a pedestal, and that pedestal means that people are going like, I only know this one thing about her, but I'm going to mention how I know that one thing. And I feel like the higher anyone gets in this industry, it will happen more and more. It will become like, you're about this, the way all celebrities become all of a sudden down to the one thing, and then all of a sudden they're only about that one thing, and that's just what they stand for. And that's not what that person is. That person's a person. But that's just what happens. So I feel like perhaps that's the tiny beginnings of sort of like people being interested in you and wanting to tell you, but they're just and missing the mark hardcore.
When you mostly hang out with pedestal people, then you don't realize that you are doing a special thing. You're just like, I fucked that up or whatever.
It's like
You
any
don't realize
monkey
you're
could
that-
do that.
Yeah.
It's like,
whereas like I have some people that don't do this. I talk to at work, but they're really into it. They're always asking about it. They go to shows sometimes, and like it's really nice to see that they're being like, oh wow, tell me about it or whatever. Like a lot of times we'll come up with a new character while I'm at work or something, and that's like. And then they'll see it at the show and they're like, I was there when we thought of that. And they think it's so special and it's so cool. Whereas like if Wendell and I are just having a conversation and we riff something and I'm like, hey, I might turn that into something that's great, like we wouldn't later bring that up all the time. Not that this person's bringing it up all the time.
I was there when Rob birthed Gay Dangerfield or whatever.
But it's different because we hang out so often with, like we said, our social life is comedians and comic actors and people like that mostly.
Yeah, you get used to having that stuff around you. We were talking before about how most people that we know are generally attractive. Like we can't even see normal people.
Yeah.
When I meet normal people, sometimes I'm like, oh, is that what that person looks like?
Yeah.
But it's just because everyone around me is just friggin' attractive all the time. It's ridiculous.
I feel like it's like when you go home and like you just be like, oh, no one's as funny as I thought they were.
Yeah.
You're like, when you grow up, you're like, oh, my family's hilarious, and now it's like you guys are hilarious, but not because you're funny, because I just think you're a joke. That's not really fully true of my family, but usually I just think they're
so
funny
absurd now at this point that it's like
See, like
we're lucky that we have pretty good families.
It's funny how like family humor like doesn't really evolve, you know. It's just like you go back and those same jokes every Christmas and everybody just sets off on.
You become the same person.
Yeah, and you're just like.
My mom still loves to say
ESPN
ESPN instead of ESP whenever she says it, because from Mean Girls she still uses it.
There's so many.
Oh yeah, wow.
2004
That's
was
awesome.
a great time.
What?
Great.
2004.
Oh, yeah.
Flawless time.
See, Ain't Got is my thing when I go home. Ain't Got is what I sound a lot more like Kenneth from 30 Rock.
Oh, nice.
When I'm back home.
Yeah.
It's real bumpkin. But
fun.
no, it's the same. Like my grandpa tells the same, like 4 fairly racist jokes
over and over.
but we're
he tells
just
them
like
just for you.
no, for like the
an
boys always ends up outside near the cooler drinking because like the ladies in the family or in the kids are all passing out presents and doing stuff inside. So we're all just outside just saying dirty redneck shit.
I hate
just 'cause that's
hanging
what
out
we
with
do.
the women.
Yeah.
I hate being forced to hang out with all women.
Yeah.
Like at a party with a bunch of and the men all go off to do something, and I'm like, why?
What is this?
And then
Why
my
are we
husband
doing
leaves,
Men
this?
always
and I'm
get
like,
to be
Are we supposed to-
outside
Why you
too.
gotta be-
Why
yeah.
do you get to be outside?
do I have to drink wine and talk about what?
Am I supposed to be gathering? What are we doing?
Yeah,
over
why
here?
don't why can't we stand in the middle? Why don't we stand in doorways as much as we should? Doorways are perfect.
Yeah.
You're inside
There's
and
some
you're
leaning.
outside. No one's upset.
Your back itches, scratch
Yeah,
it.
rub it against the doorway. We need to make bigger doorways.
My
Maybe
dad.
be our gathering
The
point.
garden
Sorry,
for
Wendell, you're
vampires
making
on
it
all
cut you
sides.
off, Wendell.
Oh.
You're
No.
talking about
I wasn't
your
gonna- no.
family.
The thing is like the only way that story was gonna go is if I said any of those 4 jokes I was talking about, and I was just like, I'm really glad let's talk about our families. Let's talk about everybody else's families and how mine's not the
My
worst.
one of my memories of my dad from when I was like 10. He's talking to my brothers and like telling them about some bills that they owe to him, and he's in the doorway and he's like, well, Josh, you gotta just... and he started scratching his back on the door frame like a bear and just like going up and down.
That's
It's a real pea behind the bush.
My dad's a real pea behind the bush kind of fella. Oh my god, do you guys want to hear some hot goss that my brother just told me yesterday?
Sure.
Is it about your
I
dad?
guess if we can record it on a podcast, then sure.
I think so. He told me. That's fair game.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, however this goes,
She's touching her own breast. For She's doing the cross of Christ or whatever.
Cross the Cristo.
Like last week or the week before was like a stupid dumb week in my family, and my uncle Bill passed away. A nice man, I think. I wasn't too close with him. I'm not too sure. I don't think he was a bad man by any means. His funeral was Monday, so my family went. My brother, my dad, aunts, uncles, everything. And then my brother told me, "Did anybody tell you what happened?" No, what happened? Well, in the middle of the funeral service, Uncle Bill's brother is up there talking about him, and then Dad's phone goes off. I was like, oh no. And then he answered it. And he answers it, and he says, okay, I'm already here. Okay, bye. And then I thought, why? Like, why would he answer it? And my dad's deaf, so he speaks very loudly.
Oh, no.
And so it was... I was just like imagining, like cringing just at the thought of it. I think
funeral.
I think he's the reason for my anxiety, and I was just like, "What the fuck? Like, why would you do that?"
Did anyone else have a reaction?
My brother told me that he was like staring at my dad and just like mouthing, "Get the fuck off the phone."
Yeah.
But I guess like my dad didn't see him or didn't care, and then just like and just like put it away, and we were just me and my brother were just like living in it, like why would that be a good idea? I don't. Anyway, that's my dad.
What a guy.
He's a
Oh my god,
pupa.
so funny, man. Wow. The idea of your grandfather telling the jokes and then your dad embarrassing you, I think we all have places from whence our comedy does come, you know what I mean?
Big
like
time.
where that is. My parents were just the best audience I ever had. And I mean, sometimes I wish that I could have a Maria Bamford-esque show for just my parents and put that on there. But it wouldn't work anymore. Well, my dad's passed away. I don't mean to be weird or crazy. But at the same time, it was like when I was a kid, I used to do crazy impressions for them, and they'd just get me going. And then they'd have parties, and they'd like call me in and have me do the stuff for their friends. I'd do like shows in front of all these people. So it's like, sometimes it's like you hear something and you're like, I can tell a better joke than that. And then sometimes you're like, I want to make this all be let me distract you from the crazy thing that just happened.
Well,
Yeah.
there's like pocket stories that just always work at like certain holidays, right? Like, I don't know, like it's like, hey, tell Aunt
you want to hear
about that
what
one
you
thing.
did.
Yeah. So it's like they don't want to hear about what I did in Austin. I never like go back and do like fun stories in front of everybody about what's in Austin.
I also
just do the
never
fun
tell
stories.
them anything about what I do.
Yeah.
It is so weird. They never ask, and I just sort of tell them vague things.
Yeah.
And then
It's hard
move
for them
on.
to react, I think. I've realized that it's hard for parents to react to a comedy thing.
Except
Even
for
if
my
they're
mom.
funny. Well, your mom is a different beast.
My mom.
Your mom is really cool.
My mom
Very
has flown
cool.
to Austin to see a show.
Super supportive.
My mom
unconditional.
came up and saw my brother's show in New York. Like, I think it might have been every weekend. He would do, it was definitely like almost all of his shows. It was a couple times a month. My mom would take a bus up to New York just to see my brother's like 30-minute sketch show again. And I remember when we would have shows, like we did a lot of community theater, my mom came to every single show. It was
and not like in a helicopter mom, you gotta get this off your face and be perfect.
Oh yeah, no, she was never like that. She was just like, she claimed she enjoyed it. I don't understand how she could. I didn't. But she would, and she would just sit there, and then sometimes she would be way too honest, and it got me upset. She had to learn to
take and give.
She had to learn to take and give and not give anything.
Yeah.
I eventually told her, I point blank was like, Mom, I don't want you to, if you don't think I did well in something or you don't think this was good, I don't want to know. And she's like, but don't you want to hear my opinion? I go, honestly, about this, no. I was like, you're my mom, you're just supposed to love what I do in terms of my comedy and stuff, and I want you to just say, honey, you did a great job and move on. Like, I had to be like, I can't.
That.
Yeah, because she, after one of my shows, I came off stage, and I actually was feeling okay about it, and I came off stage, she goes, no, it was okay. And she usually doesn't. Like, usually I nail it. Not, like, usually
It's
I do
almost
pretty well.
unfair to even bring that up.